go. But it is episode 37 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. And I know, I was just telling Nina the other day, I was like, man, there's 52 weeks in a year, and we're on episode 37. Like, we're getting close, man. That's some good shit, bro. And, you know, like I said, hey, here's to you for always being a good partner, always being available. Staying
Balls
up
and Modelo's, baby.
Middle of the night watching snoozer fight night cards. You're a real MVP, man.
Dude, I'll be honest. Like, sometimes with the fights, if I'm betting on any of them, I'll be looking at the results, you know, as they occur, because I just want to know, like, did I win some money or not?
Yeah.
But like with this one, I hated all these matchups coming into it. Like, there was not one where I was like, there was, but it got scratched from the card.
The Hill.
No,
was it Hill Yoder?
No, the two guys that got scratched. It was I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Oh, we'll get to them though. I remember them, but. When they got scratched, I was like, damn, that's probably fight of the night gone. Now, I will say Hernandez and Moises, like, put on a pretty good show.
That was a good fight. Yeah, no, there was a couple of good fights.
And Rivera and Munoz, like, that was also a pretty banger fight.
And I was looking forward to the main event. I mean, I've been talking about the main event for a couple of weeks now, and it just, you know, the stylistically kind of didn't necessarily make for fireworks, but it did kind of maybe give us some answers a little bit in that division, maybe somewhat. We'll talk about it.
I think the heavyweight path got a lot more clear last night as far as, like, the levels that different guys are at. Like, I think Derek Lewis is, like, championship contention level, and I think everyone else might need to have another fight.
Yeah, for sure. I like that take for sure. It just, everything felt a little off last night. I said, even like the commentary crew was like an odd pairing. It was
Felder and Bisping. Yeah, and Bisping's never with Anik. You're right. That's a great point because he's always with Brendan Fitzgerald talking trash to him.
And like, so I've been on the record, like, you know, as I don't necessarily, I'm not too down on Bisping when he's with Fitzgerald. Like, you know, it kind of works, but man, this pairing was just rough in my opinion. And it mixed with the rough card. It just was. It wasn't spectacular television, but
no, it wasn't, man. If you're gonna do heavyweight main events, like, you need to have DC there, man. Like, you need to have DC there.
Man, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but man, just Bisping was just stepping on everybody's toes just all night.
And he would, like, I love how he would, like, say something like, he's really down, obviously, this whole round. He's like, I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. I'm just saying he's losing the round. And it's like, yeah, Bisping, we get it. Like, that, you didn't need to even clarify that.
Yeah, you know, I think he's one of those guys that's, like, has trouble wearing both hats as far as, like, fighter and, like, and he even said it. He was like, oh, give me a pair of gloves. It's like, maybe, man.
He's like a Darren Till kind of a guy, like, to the point where he's just an English dude, runs his podcast, like, really doesn't give a shit. Just wants to go out there and throw hands if someone has a problem. So it's like, Bisping, you're retired and a commentator now. Like, you need to not just talk shit on him. But that's what he's good at. Like, it would be like if you asked Darren Till to come do commentary. Like, what do you expect? What do you think you're getting?
For sure. These guys are fighters first and foremost. You know, once a fighter, always a fighter. Hey, Brock, you mind, like, scooting a little bit to your right? Just, like, getting a little more centered. No, there we go, bro. Thank you, man. All right, so, man, let's dive into these prelims. I think we bitched and moaned enough for everybody. But, man, the first fight of the night was Maxine Grisham versus Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby was a minus 170 favorite. I didn't get to catch Grisham's underdog number, though.
Plus 145. Which is about right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fighting at light heavyweight, 205. Grisham did miss weight by 4 pounds, and he's a guy that used to fight at heavyweight, I believe. So, kind of makes sense. That's a tough cut down to 205 for him.
You know what's odd to me about this that I kind of realized last night is I think I saw the difference in the skill level between 205 and heavyweight. Because Grisham lost to Tybura in his UFC debut, but really, like, looked like the more skillful guy. Like, Tybura was just too big and, like, just pressed him in the cage. So that's probably why Grisham's fighting at 205 now, because he's like, if I can make that cut, like, you know, I don't have to worry about someone being the bigger man. Yeah. But honestly, man, the skill gap between 205ers, that, like, guys that are strict 205 and heavyweight, is obviously huge.
It is. Very obviously. It is. The speed, yes, the technical ability. I think that was on display. Like, Grisham looked like a heavyweight that cut, not like a 205. Like, as far as fluidity and movement, and I agree. Of, like, flexibility of the hips and just things of that nature. Yeah, man, I scored this. And also I learned one more thing last night. Like, the Twitter judges that they put on screen, like, That goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, like Ryan Frederick and those guys.
They can fuck all the way off. Yeah, they can fuck all the way off. I was disagreeing with them quite often. But so I scored round 1 at 10-8 for Grisham.
Really?
Yeah, man. I mean, he had the 2 knockdowns, and I quite frankly think Jacoby was saved by the bell.
He was.
Like, that's another however many X amount of seconds. I mean, that's probably a first-round finish for Grisham. So
that's a good point. And also, I would note, like, in agreement with that, too, that Grisham was honestly leading the pace in that round, too. It was the only round where he was, like, actively pressuring the entirety of the round and, like, was just really all over Dustin Jacoby. I had it 10-9, but I did write that I was teetering on the 10-8. So I can see it.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And then also, I want to ask you, I know it was late when you were watching these. Did you hear somebody's phone go off on the broadcast?
Yes, someone's phone was ringing.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it was like the old school phone ring. Yeah. It was definitely happening.
Definitely Bisping's boomer phone fucking
Dude,
ringtone.
I had I said out loud when I listened to that and I heard it, and I was like looking around my house, and I was like, no one in my house has that ringtone. Like, that's not from this house. And then I was like, God damn it, UFC! Like, can we get our production values together? Like, fuck me.
Yeah. No, last night just had like shit show vibes written all over it. Like,
it's funny you bring that up, man, because I really had a long thought about that while the fight was going on. I was like, this never happens in NFL games. Like, and then I thought, like, do they tell Troy Aikman and those guys, like, do they have phone checks before they go live? Like, hey, your phone's on silent. All right, it's that easy.
Yeah, or even have a phone box like the comedians do or something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, amateur hour for sure. It was just funny because I may or may not have taken an edible or two when I was watching the fight. So I was like, did that happen? Like, what's going on? Kind of questioning myself. But all right, man. So then round 2, I had a 10-9 Jacoby. He really started to take over with the significant strikes. He was the pressure man, and momentum just kind of shifted in round 2 because he was out. He kind of weathered the storm, and like we said, the heavyweight having the rough weight cut, everybody knew the gas tank was going to be in question, and Jacoby kind of weathered the storm and just kind of let the gas tank and the cardio do the work.
Essentially, as soon as Grisham wasn't able to be like the physically more imposing man because he was, lacking energy to do that, to press the action like that, it became Jacoby's fight. And Jacoby is a sick kickboxer. So I really thought coming into this that Grisham was going to try and grapple, get him down, be the bigger, stronger man, and just hold him there. He did try a few takedowns, got stuffed, and just never went back to him.
Yeah, it was really weird. You know what Grisham reminded me of? I know I always make the football comparisons on this show, but like in football, you're always telling you get your hips low, like lower man wins. All his takedown attempts were way too high. Yeah, upper body. I don't think he shot the legs like a true wrestling takedown. I don't even know if he did that once. He was trying to like these weird, and it wasn't like a clinch. It was like a takedown attempt, but they were all really high, trying to get do tosses or trips, or I don't know. But I don't know if he shot a true takedown, and it wasn't working out to use his size in a grappling advantage at all. And you're exactly, Jacoby was able to keep it at the feet, make it more of a kickboxing match, and let his cardio kind of shine. Now, actually, round 3, I thought it was a close round. It was a banger. Both men were landing. I leaned Grisham, but I'm not going to die on that hill at all. I thought it was very close.
I wrote I leaned Jacoby, but I could see Grisham winning that round. So, like, for your scorecard,
that sums it up for anybody watching.
For your scorecard, you had it 28-28, right? Because you had the 10-8, and then Jacoby. Well, no, you had it 29-27.
Yeah, I had Grisham winning. Yep. But like I said, it's weird. Both of those decisions I made were like split hair decisions that I'm not like gonna die. Like the 10-8 was a close 10-8, and then like I said, round 3 could have gone either way. It was a banger of a round.
Interestingly, all the judges scored at 29-28, and I thought one judge might have given a 10-8 to Grisham, and we would have seen a majority. I really expected a majority decision to come out of this. I really did. So when it was unanimous. Okay. Yeah, so 2 judges would have given it to Jacoby and one would have 10-8'd the first. That's honestly what I thought was going to happen. But clearly the judges were valuing leg kicks and low strikes heavily, which good, they should.
Yeah, and we've talked about that on this show, and that seemed to be the topic of conversation last night on the broadcast, the leg kick. There were some super cold leg kick takes that in my opinion, just like, I don't know, they seemed to just dominate the conversation.
Oh, so you mean Bisping was talking? Honestly, bro, the cough. That's all I heard all night. The cough, the high cough kick. was like, Bisping, get off of it.
Yeah, man. When then somebody, was it Bisping or Anthony Smith or maybe both, that was like, maybe outlaw the low calf kick. And I was just like, what are we doing here? Are we trying to turn it into the NFL?
Is this kickboxing or what is this?
Yeah, are we going to give them like yellow flags to throw? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we,
right.
I don't know. We don't need we don't need more rules, I don't think.
The next fight, oh no, it's not this fight. It's coming up later, but we get an interesting position where the ref actually impacts the fight, but I think he made the right call. We'll get to it. But that brings us to the next fight, honestly, because it's the same ref. Jaron Villel is the ref I'm talking about, which he's kind of like that future ref. Yeah, the new guy. Bro, he's built weird too. Very skinny legs and arms, very thick torso. I don't like. I think he watches a lot of fights. I don't think he trains anything.
Toothpaste body.
So he's the referee for the fight, 135 bantamweight between Vince Cachero, plus 140, versus Ronnie Lawrence at minus 165.
And it was Lawrence's debut.
I was really big on Lawrence coming in, man. He's got a big skill set, right? Like on his DWCS fight, didn't finish the guy, but took him down 12 times, was trading on the feet. Like, he's a super game fighter.
Yeah, 12 times, and that's what Dana was saying was so special about him. And, I mean, it translated. It doesn't always translate, and I know they always try to upsell the Contender Series guy. It translated. You know, Cachero was a good test for a guy coming in on his debut.
Absolutely.
You know, and, you know, you're fighting at bantamweight. And, yeah, Lawrence looked outstanding, man. He put on a hell of a show. That's pretty much the story of this fight. So, I mean, I think it's obvious how this one went. But, yeah, Lawrence in his debut looked great. I don't know, Ronnie Lawrence, his nickname needs to be Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
That'd be sick. But, yeah, Ronnie Lawrence's debut looked fantastic. Man can take him down at will. That was kind of the story of this fight, just at will. Like, the ease at which he was taken down, Cachero just jumped off the screen.
And his transitions from striking to grappling were super clean. Like that's one of the most underrated skills that a lot of guys lack in the UFC, is ability to like merge their skills or mesh them together.
Yeah, and then like I thought round 2 was close to being a 10-8, but just maybe not quite enough damage. I think that's what the vibe he got too, because in round 3 he came out with bad intentions, you know, and he was able to get the round 3 finish.
Just relentless pace, man. Like for his skill set to be that good and his gas tank to be that good behind it, he's gonna make a name in 135. I think. Like that's a top 10 guy. I think.
Man, could be. You know, it's early on. But he presents a dope skill set, because it's like you said, the striking to grappling transition to where it's not like he just is some guy that only can wrestle or looks out of place on his feet. Like, he looked fine on his feet. And his ability to just be fluid in the scrambles, he looks like a well-rounded guy. And hell of a debut. We'll see as the competition increases. Maybe if you get him in there with another wrestler and they have to stand and bang, what does that look like? You know, the matchmakers like to do stuff like that. And I'm here for the ride. The journey begins here for Ronnie Lawrence. But I think he made a lot of fans last night. He got himself a performance of the night bonus, one of the few. The UFC essentially acknowledged this card was a snoozer, because they gave out essentially 2 bonuses last night to 3 guys. But
I was going to say 3 guys, right? Yeah.
One fight of the night, and then he was the only performance of the night bonus.
He's the only guy that deserves a performance bonus, like just based on his solo performance. Yeah, he was the clear-cut winner of that bonus.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the UFC acknowledging, right? Like,
I mean, you heard what Dana White said about Cyril Gane, right?
No, I didn't. I missed that.
So Dana White essentially said it was like, and we'll get to it, but he was saying like this was Gane's chance to like come out, like put out a highlight, like make his case to pretty much like what White was alluding to was fight Derek Lewis for that #1 contender spot. He was like, this was his chance, and like he just let it go by.
Oh wow, that's real. See, I respect that. At least they didn't try to like shine up the turd. You know what I'm saying? They kind of called a spade a spade. That's real. But yeah, man. Ronnie Lawrence looked good in his debut. Got that bonus, and we'll keep it pushing from them. But yeah, nice bantamweight contender, man. That weight class just isn't it weird how like the bottom end is deeper than the top end? If that makes sense. If the top end's deep too, but That bottom end is just so like bulbous of guys just right there, just like the bottleneck at the bottom end is just.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly that's the perfect way to say it, man. Because the mid range really isn't there. Like it's either you're in the neck of the bottle or you're in the jug. Like there's really not a middle ground.
Yeah, man, and there's just so many like I said, I don't know. We say this all the time, but in bantamweight may have like the best like unranked fighters. Like if that's like a weird way to categorize it, but if
35 or 45, it's one of those two. As far as like best names that don't have a ranking, it has to be 35 or 45.
There's so many. Yeah, man. There's good quality guys that have skills. But yeah, man, we'll keep it pushing to this next fight, which I think surprised a lot of people. We got Alexis Davis plus 180. You know, she's been at it a long time. You know, fought all the greats, Ronda Rousey, all the Amanda Nunes. She's fought everybody. I think she has a win over Nunes way back when.
Way back. Yeah, Alexis Davis. Yeah.
Yep. And then versus Sabina Mazo, who's only 23 years old, and Mazo was the minus 220 favorite. Davis plus 180. And so yeah, you know, I think that this was supposed to be, the UFC loves doing this. They build a young fighter while simultaneously booting an old fighter out the back door. That's how, if they had
that was the plan. That was the plan.
Yeah, you know, somebody, Alexis Davis tried to spoil that party.
Yeah, you know what's really crazy about this fight is that it was so obvious which fighter was better in which position each way. Yes. So Mazo in the first minute was just piecing Davis up. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be a first finish. Like
it was so gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. The striking, the fluidity,
straight down the pipe, hard shots.
Man, it was gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. Like the striking was just textbook until it ended up on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, she got her foot caught and got taken down from it, and it was like, oh, that sucks. Like that's an unlucky way to get taken down. And I honestly fully expected Mazo to be able to kind of scramble right there and get back up because it wasn't like Davis was like actively pursuing that takedown. You know what I mean? Like
you're right. The first takedown was kind of fluky, but once it hit the mat, Davis was firmly in control and obviously proved that she was the much stronger physically fighter and probably walks around heavier.
Exactly right.
Also, so the first takedown was kind of fluky. Also wanted to shout out real quick, Davis does fight out of San Jose, so that was cool. Shout out, I assume it was AKA. They didn't specifically say, but when somebody's fighting out of San Jose, that's typically the case. And then, once it ended up in the round, I said it kind of looked fluky. Mazo's striking was like absolutely gorgeous. And round one was tough to score. And Bisping was kind of making that point because Davis didn't do a lot of damage in round one, but she had a lot of ground control time.
Hardly any damage.
And then while on the feet, I mean, so Mazo just, like I said, it was textbook. It was gorgeous. It was fluid. And she was just letting the hands loose. So how did you score round one?
I scored at 10-9 to Davis. I thought that like having almost 4 minutes of control time, like 3:40, I think is what it was, and 2 of it, she was on her back in a mount. Yeah. So it's like, I know she's not doing anything there, but like it's hard to say there's a more dominant position than having someone's back with hooks in.
Yeah, I think that she had the back alone for 3 whole minutes. I agree. It was a crazy first round. Really tough to score. I went 10-9 Davis. Bisping was going to die on the hill that he should have gotten.
He was so ready to die on that hill. And it's like, all that shows to me is it's like, Bisping, we get it. You don't grapple. We get it.
Yeah, man, that's kind of what I was thinking in my head too. But it's like, the thing is, some people, I'll say, like, I don't even understand the position you're coming from. But, like, I do get it. Like, Mazo did the most damage. I mean, like, I don't know, but you can't ignore having your back for 3 minutes. It's just you can't just set that to the side, you know.
Just that positional dominance. You know, if she had just been in her guard and not doing any damage and been in like full guard, I might give it to Mazo probably actually. But like to have your back,
the back, yes, 100%. Oh, that's cool. So we saw it the same way for sure. And then round two, another close ass round.
Super close,
man. Man, once again, Mazo's boxing, and I think she was like a boxing champion in Colombia, her native country, Colombia,
that's right.
And so she has like credentialed hands, and it's on full display, like gorgeous, like such good. Like I just watching it is just mesmerizing. It just looks such a good striking. But however, another big but. I had to give the round to Davis. The end of the ground and pound at the end of the round, and just kind of finishing strong and taking the fight where she wanted the fight to go. I ended up leaning Davis again.
I did too. So oddly enough, I'm the exact same boat as you, and I was going to give the round to Mazo until Davis got the takedown with like 40 seconds left and actually started doing damage there, because that was the first time we'd seen her actually do damage from the position. So it was
100%.
like as much as Mazo had gotten ahead on the feet, Davis was landing some really nice calf kicks, a lot of money in the bank style striking from her, where she was like trying to wear her down to get the takedowns to be more easy. I think good strategy, honestly.
Yeah, she proved that the fight
IQ
round was on full display for sure. She looked like the veteran fighter. Like, it was on full display. Like, it looked how it looks when a veteran beats a young prospect. You know, like just a decision here, a decision there. Not talking about judges' decisions, but I'm talking like decisions made in the octagon. You know, a decision there, a position change here. Just is really letting that veteran IQ on full display. It was kind of cool to watch because, like, I'll be real. Like, I don't know. Watching a young fighter beat an old fighter is such a double-edged sword. Like I said, you watch like maybe a star be born, but on the other hand, it's like, God damn it! Like, why? Like, should you have even been in there? So
was this person's star already out? You know,
exactly. So whenever you see like a fighter like Alexis Davis, you know, been at it a long time, they kind of flip the script, turn it on its head. You know, it's hard to be mad at that. You know, it's one of the better moments I thought of the kind of lackluster card.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. It was honestly a entertaining fight. Like, to be honest with you, the first one I thought was like pretty low pay. Well, yeah, the pace wasn't the greatest on the Grisham Jacoby fight, right? And then Lawrence put on a great show, and I was super happy with Lawrence. And then this fight, like, not a snoozer, quite frankly. That was really the main card that just like put out like fights. It was like inactivity that was the problem. This was like a stylistic battle. So I had it 2018 going into the third.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to the third round. I had it 10-9 Davis in the third. I thought it was her most dominant round. She rode the back. I feel like by round three, both fighters kind of knew what time it was, and Davis was like, you know, that is what it is. This is a grappling fight. So I'm not boxing you. And like I said, use that veteran IQ. She was the physically stronger woman. Just rode her back most of the round again.
The third round felt like the first round, but with damage for Alexis Davis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
And one judge actually valued that control and damage so much that they must have been leaning on 10-8 in the first, because they gave it 10-8 for the third. The judges scored it 30-27 two ways, and then 30-26 as the final card.
Unanimous decision, Alexis Davis. Yeah, the only round that could have possibly been a 10-8 was round three. I don't quite think so, but hey, you know, the right woman won. I'm not going to die on any hills. But first underdog of the night to cash, plus 180 for Alexis Davis. So whoever, you know, somebody put some money down on the feisty vet, you know, good on them.
Which would have been surprising, too. A lot of bettors are really high on Mazo. They love her skill set. But clearly, Alexis Davis showed some holes, which is what that's the plan of these fights, essentially, for the UFC, is like, we have this young prospect, like, let's try to poke these holes and see where they're weak so that they can identify it themselves. Yeah, for sure. It's like Mazo's 23 years old. Like, am I down on Mazo after that? No. Like, I don't know. She needs to get stronger. I don't even know if she's in the right weight class. I might say that. She looked super slender. I think she can make 25, yeah. She looked so slender in there. And, like, as many times as she was landing, her punches quite didn't have the pop at bantamweight either. Like, they weren't like they had no stopping power. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it's a Deron Wynn situation and that she's like just overweight, but like she could fight down a class. No. She looks like she's in great shape. She just looks so like kind of slender and frail in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's that's not an issue Deron Wynn worries about it being frail, But yeah, man, I don't know. Like I said, it's cool because we got to see Davis, you know, extend her career. And like I said, it's not like Mazo's done by any means. I think she'll learn from this, and she's really a dangerous prospect moving forward. Just got to find maybe if she's in the right weight class, or just definitely got to get some takedown defense. And I don't know, but her hands are certified for sure. And we'll keep it pushing. I thought that was one of the better fights for the night. And, Me too. And this next fight.
This next fight was one of the better fights as well. This fight was a lot of fun.
You know
Alexander Hernandez. Oh, what's up, brother?
In hindsight, I'm going to say the prelims were like a good prelims. Like prelims,
You're right.
McGee was
looking back on it.
Like put the bat signal out. Prelims, McGee was out.
Yeah, man, you're right. You're right, and it kind of made the main card that much more disappointing because you kind of started to get that vibe, like, oh, is this going to be one of those cards that, like, on paper wasn't all that, but then we get some bangers, and but yeah, I don't know what, but yeah, you're right. In retrospect, as they say, the prelims were pretty solid because I enjoyed this fight as well. Alexander Hernandez minus 240 favorite. Fighting Thiago Moises plus 200 underdog, fighting at lightweight. And, man, Moises is a thick – like, these were both huge
thick
lightweights.
Yeah. Well, Hernandez has fought at welterweight a couple times. Like,
both of these guys. Thick. Both of these guys could have looked like they could make welterweight for sure. No problem. That has to be a gnarly cut for both of them.
Hernandez has those Ed Hockley biceps, man.
No, they're like strong. Yeah, and when I say thick, like not a lot of jiggle at all. They're just like just so strong. They're jacked. Round one, man. How'd you see round one, brother?
Man, so they were both throwing some hard shots, and then they started landing those hard shots. I leaned toward Moises for round one, but I didn't see any strike numbers, and I would have loved to have seen strike numbers after round one just to see where they were at.
You know what? I didn't look at the numbers either, but it's funny. I kind of went the exact opposite way, but it was a super close round. It was definitely a quality versus quantity type of thing because I thought Moises landed harder, landed cleaner, but Hernandez was pushing a gnarly pace and had really good volume and was throwing a lot of shots. Not many of them.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Moises would kind of pick his spots, but when he threw hard, and they usually landed clean. So it's
Hernandez
kind of just like
Hernandez had chin, man.
It's kind of just like pick your flavor. Like I'm sure I think most people lean with Moises. This was another example of me disagreeing with Twitter and but not die on hill worthy. Like Moises, if you like clean, impactful shots, which who doesn't? But I just thought Hernandez's volume, like Hernandez, I didn't look at the numbers either, but my eye test told me Hernandez probably doubled him in strike numbers. But like I said, just pick your flavor. I'm not dying on any hill. I'm not. I could easily see round one going to Moises. I personally lean Hernandez just with this volume and activity, but yeah, Moises,
close round,
very close round, and Moises' defense in round one and moving into round two was just like almost a masterclass. Because like I said, for all of that volume, not a lot of damage at all.
Right. And he wears his damage super well, which is like, I mean, you're blessed with that. Like either you are or you aren't.
Yeah.
And like, he's one of those guys, doesn't really like get puffy faced, like doesn't get inflated. Like he wears his damage well because Hernandez was landing hard shots.
Yeah. Hernandez was getting through for sure, and like to even have a counter puncher style, you got to eat some shots, and that's kind of was the story of round one and kind of round two too. However, just the big shots in Moises in round two, I thought started to pay off more. The momentum kind of once again, I thought momentum was a big factor last night in the fight because I thought in round two the momentum kind of shifted to Moises. Those big shots started to cause a little bit of damage. And he started to kind of push his own pace a little bit more. I thought Moises stepped up his activity level in round two.
Yeah, I thought Moises controlled more in round two than really any of the. Well, maybe round three he controlled about the same, probably a little more actually. But I mean, yeah, he started to take control of the fight in round two, I thought, and Hernandez actually started. I mean, he's tough, man, but the shots were starting to wear.
Well, and was it late in round two or early in round three when Moises' head kick started to get through? They started to kind of
early in round three.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where like Hernandez would like block it, but still it would like
kinda.
A lot of like half-ass block it, like that shit was still getting through kind of. So yeah, Moises' head, and I thought that was cool because he kind of wasn't showing that earlier in the fight. He kind of pulled out a new weapon 2/3 of the way through the fight, showed some IQ and some strategy and some game plan.
Absolutely. So we both so you have it 19-19 going to the third. I have it 20-18. Close fight still, obviously. Good fight. Third round, yeah. I thought Moises just really took over and was like yelling at Hernandez, like, let's go, like, let's do it. Like, throw your best, like, let's do it. And Hernandez, I think, thought he was up 2 rounds to none. because the way he fought it was like, I'm up. Why would I do that? But I disagree.
Yeah, no, I agree. I round 3, 10-9 Moises, more of those head kicks like I was talking about. I thought that was the main difference for me. What really stood out to me is just, like I said, these guys were both plus athletes, and both of these guys were in great shape. They said I thought Moises won the fight. It was 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28 unanimous decision. Either way, I said I'm cool with it. I had Hernandez win in 1 round, so I kind of agree with that one judge. I think that one judge kind of saw it like I did, right?
Yes, absolutely. I would think that judge saw it identically.
Yeah. So either way, the right man won the fight. Another underdog cashes. Thiago Moises plus 200. I said a thick lightweight. He looked real good, and especially for the bot. We talked so much about the top end of the lightweight division that it's like we always talk about the bottom end of the bantamweight division, which we just did. But the bottom end of the lightweight division doesn't get much love or attention. And there's some killers down there too. Thiago Moises, prime example, dangerous guy at the not even ranked.
Absolutely agree. And for Alexander Hernandez, still young, still making improvements in his skill set. So just needs to keep working.
It's still a bad matchup for a lot of guys. Like a guy that struggles with cardio is gonna wilt. He reminds me of I'm probably gonna get flack for this, and clearly he's not as good, but Colby Covington extra light, extra light.
Yeah, I can see that. He just pushes that crazy pace, has
great athlete.
Good chin, and throws hard.
Yeah, for sure, man. But that was the end of the very short prelim, 4-fight prelim. Great prelim, actually, looking back on it. And then we'll move on to the main card. Enough has been said about it. We'll just talk about the fights and let's start this. And you need a break? You down to knock out?
No, we can run straight to the main.
For sure, man. We got a good old faithful reliable Alex Caceres, minus 200 favorite, fighting Kevin Crew plus 170, and fighting at featherweight. And Caceres is always that interesting lanky featherweight where he's just he's a tall featherweight, long featherweight.
I would like to note Bruce Buffer was fucking up last night. There were some times where he would pause, and it wasn't it's just he wasn't he was checked out for this card, man.
Maybe.
I get it.
Maybe he had an edible before the fight or whatever.
Well, and when he called the winner of this, because it's not I'm going to spoil a fucking great story here. Whenever he announced Caceres as the winner, he said, Alex Bruce Caceres, left out the Leroy.
Oh, he did? Okay. So,
come on. That's the whole, you just called him Bruce? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, man, rare miss for the great. He gets a pass from me.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm
he's not doing that on UFC 259 next week.
Hell no.
I think everybody in the MMA lexicon is just already looking at next week. It's this was the classic trap game card. You know what I'm saying? Looking ahead to next week.
Yeah.
Because everybody
trap game for the fans. That's so tough.
Fans, Bruce Buffer, everybody was just oh, this isn't UFC 259. It's just the super early prelims of UFC 259. But
exactly right.
Oh man. But all right, so let's get to this Caceres Crew fight a little bit, man. Round 1, Caceres looked good. The takedown defense was on full display, and Caceres is known for his unique striking abilities. And I think Caceres sets a good template for young fighters that want to be primarily strikers, because he's obviously spent a lot of time working takedown defense. It was takedown defense. He put on a clinic. Now, that doesn't score you any points or win you fights, but when you're a striker and pretty much everybody's path to victory is to take you down. It's not like he's over there trying to offensively take other fighters down or become a grappler per se, but he just worked on that takedown defense to keep the fight where he wants it. And I thought it was just a really, really good example. Not the most exciting thing to watch, but a great example to young strikers out there. How to keep the fight where you want it.
I don't know if Kevin Croom's game plan was just to completely avoid the feet with Caceres, knowing that he couldn't strike with him, because he was dogging himself for the takedowns. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like, the amount of energy he was using to try and get a takedown was absurd. And, like, the takedowns he was going for were high-energy takedowns.
Oh, 100%. He was gassed earlier. It was a sloppy fight, which sucks because Caceres, when somebody will play ball with him, it's one of the most visually like best fights to watch. Like, he has a beautiful style, but like I said, I'm not mad at Kroom because I mean, who would want to stand across from a guy like Caceres and just trade at kickboxing range? You know, that's obviously not a smart strategy. So like, I get it, but yeah, didn't make it with that strategy combined with his gas tank and lack of success just made for a rough fight on the eyes. Round one, 10-9 Caceres, for what it's worth. I thought he won. Round two, I thought was a little closer. All right, how did you agree? Round one, 10-9 Caceres.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. And well, two was closer, but I don't know because like Caceres in round two got that triangle locked up, and it was super deep. Like shout out to Kevin Kroom for being able to get out of that.
Yeah. I was about to say, how did you see round two? Because they could be kind of a little bit, controversial.
Yeah, funny enough, I wrote that I could score it to Kroom for the takedown and top control that he like maintained once getting out of the position right there, or out of the submission attempt. But like the submission attempt was so deep and like it was so deep. Close. I actually scored it for Caceres.
I thought that was the most dangerous moment of the round was the triangle attempt, and I also scored it to Caceres. It was close though. It was a close round, and I could easily see a judge scoring it either way. And then round three was all Caceres. He it was on the ground, on the feet. Kroom was toast. He was French toast.
I mean, he was just exhausted, and like that was just an ass whooping in the third round, honestly. Like that's kind of what that looked like.
Which honestly, I was like kind of happy to see because like Caceres weathered the storm, just kept weathering it, and eventually it paid off. It reaped dividends. So shout out like Caceres. Like I said, it wasn't like it's not like I'm trying to like run this back when I want to show a friend how fun and exciting MMA is, but like for a striker, like to just like not let the strategy of being taken down, like he neutralized that strategy like almost textbook. So I mean that was a great performance by Caceres. Great, not exciting, not bonus worthy, but it was a good performance from Caceres.
Right, yeah. I mean this fight qualified for the snooze fest, absolutely. That was just probably from like the style battle, and I don't know, man. Just Caceres was never really in trouble.
No, I gotta say there were two judges scored at a 30-26. Neither of us did. They were feeling.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did? What? Round three?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was just piecing him up on the feet, and then had control on the ground as well. Like I thought Caceres was just dominant.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I didn't personally score it that way, but I'm not mad at that at all. Between the two of us, we still agree with the judges. Unanimous decision. Alex Caceres, minus 200 favorite. And yeah, we'll keep it pushing. Actually, you know what? I don't want to keep it pushing because Caceres, that was his fourth win in a row. He's unranked. We talked about all the
he deserves someone ranked. He deserves someone ranked.
Thank you. So, I have 13 through 15 written down. You want me to read them off to you? Bryce Mitchell 13, Edson Barbosa 14, Movsar Evloev 15. I mean, I could make an argument for any of those fights being a great matchup.
I think Barbosa's the move.
Barbosa's the move, right? Because it's the classic situation. But Barbosa's still super dangerous. But he has been around a while. But Barbosa, it's not throwing him a killer. Like it's not necessarily trying to send him out the back door.
It's a real it's like a real 50-50 coin flip of like, hey, which one of you guys actually deserves to be here?
Yeah, for sure. And the Bryce Mitchell fight would be boring, just like the fight we just watched. Like I don't want to watch that. And then Evloev, I think, would probably try to grapple as well. So yeah, I think Barbosa would trade with him. I think Barbosa would actually make for a fun fight. I really do.
Right. I think matchmaking wise, I think that style matchup is more fun than the other two.
For sure, man. I agree with that. That would be a lot of fun for sure. All right, man, and we'll keep it pushing. This next fight was the fight that sparked all the leg kick conversation that we were previously discussing.
And honestly, damn, like his leg, poor Jimmy Rivera, man. So we'll dive in.
Introduce him.
Men's bantamweight, fighting at 135. Number 9, Jimmy Rivera, the minus 150 favorite versus number 8, Pedro Munoz, the plus 125 underdog. Now, did Rankings McGee and you not love the fact that the odds were flipped, essentially from the rankings?
Well, as much as I am Rankings McGee, the fact that it is a rematch, does kind of
true. That's it makes it very different.
It throws a wrench in the system a little bit. But I feel you. It was the fact that these guys' paths cross, and that's what we always say sometimes when there's a great fight between unranked fighters, and then because their first fight was back in 2015 when they were kind of first on the scene, and so that's why whenever we always say unranked fighters, like, well, the rematch isn't going to happen anytime soon, but maybe their path, like their journeys, will just cross again in the future, and this is a prime example of that.
Yeah, especially at number 8 and number 9. Like,
number 8 versus
perfect
9,
way to cross.
Exactly, bro.
So the first round I thought was just an absolute banger of a round. Both guys had crazy hand speed, crazy good power, and crazy really super chins. Yeah. Like the super chins. Like Pedro Munoz was eating some bombs from Jimmy Rivera and just kept coming forward. And then Jimmy Rivera, I mean, he was eating him on the face. Almost in like the third round, he was more happy to eat headshots than he was leg kicks.
100%. Yeah. Rivera was 100% trying to just brawl and bang and trade, and then Munoz. It made for a fun dance partner because Munoz was active in game, but just more smarter, more selective, not necessarily trying to eat as many shots on the chin as Rivera. So it made for a fun. This fight was not on the part of the snooze fest, in my opinion. This fight, I'll watch this fight again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this fight, and I assume these guys got the bonus for fight of the night.
Yes,
right.
Well deserved.
Well deserved, right? Because this fight was just a banger. All 3 rounds were great, man. So the second round, and Rivera's calf, by the way.
How'd you score one? My bad. How'd you score one?
Oh, 10-9 for Munoz.
Me too. But it was super close. It was a banger. The leg kicks for Munoz and the volume for Munoz.
That's what I thought pushed it over for me too.
But at the same time, Rivera had him wobbled. I mean, he was a fucking nut hair away from ending the fight round 1. It's so tough to make that guy lose a round, but it was give and take, and he was taking plenty.
Yeah. Oh, super back and forth first round. And honestly, like, if it wasn't for those leg kicks taking effect early, I think Rivera might have been able to take over in the second round. But the leg kicks were already adding up in the first so much that, like, he was starting to, like, shake out his leg and limp in the first round.
Oh, yeah, I think when he walked over in between rounds, he literally said, "My leg's fucked," or something.
He was like, my leg's in so much pain. Like, he was like, "I don't know what to do." Yeah, and he refused to switch stances, which was wild. Refused.
Wild, but yeah, I mean, that's pros and cons. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
Maybe he sucks because it's like
his defense probably is not good striking whenever he flips
like
his stance.
trying to write your name with your left hand to some people.
Yeah.
So maybe he just was like, I'll grin and bear it. But anyway, regardless, it was a badass fight. 2 different strategies, 2 different approaches. But I think before, right, so like, bro, if I would have told you before the fight that, like, this fight's going to be a banger, but one guy is going to use a lot of leg kicks and one guy's going to want to, like, trade and eat shots, who's going to win the fight? Like, your answer would
probably, oh man, I don't know. It's like,
really, because I think conventional wisdom nowadays is like, the guy using the leg kicks.
That's what I want to say, but like, if the brawler guy catches a shot. But yeah, I would probably lean to the leg kick guy winning most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. Just and it's not even necessarily any down shot to Rivera. It's just like when they talked about it ad nauseum on the broadcast, just the leg kick strategy in modern MMA is just a total game changer. And I don't think it should be outlawed. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. That's like saying, like, oh, triple option is outlawed in college football because it's boring to watch, and it's like, well,
or
like,
wildcat, or fucking the spread offense. Like if you're saying it's a gimmick, like
the
old school spread, like the Texas Tech spread.
Like things come in waves, and there's always a kryptonite, and things adjust. Like I think the people calling for it to be made illegal are just out of line.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I think it's just a part of it that people have to learn to deal with and counter and work through and learn how to do themselves. Like that's an offensive weapon you both have.
That's the thing, right? Like you easily could have done it. So it's like all
right,
fair, right?
Like 12-6 elbows are one thing, especially because like only one guy's throwing those in that position. You know what I mean? But like in the feet, like both guys can throw a leg kick. Like it's not and you can have movement to get out of the way, or you can have reaction time to check the kick, or you can eat the fucking kick and come forward with like a shot down the middle. There's all kinds of answers to the leg kick.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then so round 2, man, I had a close 10-9 Munoz as well. Once again, both men landing, both men trading, but just Munoz's ability to fight smarter, not harder, and once again chopping down that leg it was too obvious to ignore. And maybe that's because everybody was talking about it. Maybe I should have watched the fight on mute. But no, I think even with the fight on mute, it was jumping off the television, those leg kicks and how damaged the leg was. And it was the story of the whole fight, and which turned into the story of the whole night.
Rivera could hardly even move, man. His leg was just destroyed. Like Nick said, it was tore up. And like I think they addressed on the broadcast, and like Nick can probably talk to this as well or speak to this. Like that compartment syndrome in the leg, like if you get that, like that's serious. Like you have to go get your leg cut open so the swelling doesn't like literally take your leg off.
Yeah, that's so nuts. Like that's so crazy, man. And then once again, round 3, close. I really had so close, and close written in my notes after all 3 of those rounds.
Yeah.
That's how you get $50,000 right there, because it's like, man, I gave all 3 rounds to Munoz. So, but the classic example of scorecard doesn't dictate how close it was, because in all 3 rounds, Rivera was landing shots that could have ended the fight and had him hurt, and like was hitting him on the chin hard, and had his own moments. Like Rivera, if you chopped up all of like Rivera's best highlights from this fight, you'd be like, oh, how did that guy lose the fight? Because there was points where he was just cracking Munoz, but just Munoz's strategy, longevity, and fight IQ just kind of edged out all 3 rounds, in my opinion.
So I actually gave the last round to Jimmy Rivera just because I thought Munoz knew he was up 2 rounds to none and started to play a little more defensively and wasn't necessarily like opening up his offense as much, wasn't going for like
fair.
Wasn't taking too many risks. Whereas Rivera was like all in, was pushing as hard as he could.
Rivera tried to get the win, man. He tried to get the win, man. So it's hats off to that guy.
And it's like it's a round so close that like I'll go either way with it. Yeah. But I think like the spirit in me was like, okay, I'll give it to Rivera for like being that tough and like, you know, fighting to the literal last second.
When we saw just how the judges, so one judge agreed with you 29-28 and 2 judges agreed with me 30-27. So we're right in lockstep with the judges, which is totally fair. But Munoz, a small underdog. Cassius, he was the higher ranked fighter, 8/9. Did he? He called out T.J. Dillashaw, which
I like that call out.
I like the call out, but I feel like it may get lost in the sea of noise because of a lot of people are calling out T.J. Dillashaw right now, and I feel like T.J. Dillashaw's eyes are set here, and Munoz may be down here. And
I agree.
However, if Dillashaw was smart, which obviously he's smart and obviously he knows more about fighting than me, but what I'm saying is he may not need to overlook it. And look at the Conor McGregor example. Do you want to come back after a long time off and fight a monster, fight a Sandhagen after being, you know what I'm saying? Or
not what you want.
You want to come back to a Munoz, like Conor McGregor was begging for a Munoz. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And like,
great point.
I don't know. Like I said, it's not going to necessarily put asses in seats, but I don't even know if there's any asses to be put in seats right now. And you know, it might be a good way to come back. And I'm not saying it's a tune-up shot, you know, and then, you know, obviously the flip side, Munoz could build a huge – I mean, if Munoz does TJ Dillashaw's leg that same way, he could easily build his reputation off beating a former champion. So I think – I don't know. I thought at first that's what that had to marinate with me. At first I didn't like the call-out, and I thought it was kind of a wasted call-out. But the more I thought about it, I don't hate it. I also wrote down 5 through 7 of bantamweights in case you want to. I'll throw a little matchmaking to you again. So 5 is Aldo, 6 is Moraes, and 7 is Edgar, and then you got Munoz at 8.
Okay, well, Edgar just beat Munoz,
and Edgar doesn't need to fight
won
for a while, and Edgar needs to sit the fuck down for at least 8 months.
Aldo Munoz would be a fun fight.
I don't think fun's the word. It would be like it was it'd be funny. That's literally shoving it in everybody last night who was saying like leg kicks should be outlawed. That's just shoving that right down their fucking face just because that would be the ultimate leg kicking championship that night.
But I think that would make it where both guys threw a lot of strikes on like hand strikes because both guys are going to be throwing those leg kicks and neutralize each other with them.
Yeah, or end up on the ground. Both guys can grapple good. Yeah, you're right. Maybe the answer, because Aldo, if anybody knows how to deal with leg kicks and how to give them back, it's Aldo. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. He's the king.
Well versed. Yeah, exactly. That could go either two ways. It's like I'm down for the matchup, especially on paper. It's just that wouldn't shock me if that fight was a snoozer. If and when it did happen.
I mean, you're right. It's a styles thing. Like, do their styles make for a good fight, or do they both like stay too tentative and not do anything?
Yeah, man. But so like you said, this fight got fight of the night bonus. It'll be the last bonus of the night. And it kind of proves why people have a problem with this card, because when all the bonuses are done and the 3 biggest fights of the night are still to be had, that's a problem. Fighting is unpredictable, and it's unpredictable in the good ways and in the bad. You got to kind of take the good with the bad, because we could easily be sitting here talking about how, like, Rozenstruik Gane was like, the biggest banger since fucking Brock Lesnar. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could, but that's just not how it played out.
We could be, but fuck, man, that fight was like tough. We'll get to it, but like, that fight was tough.
So next we have Montana De La Rosa, -130 favorite, fighting Mayra Bueno Silva, and fighting at flyweight, women's flyweight. What can you say about it? It's a thin division. This fight was controversial, and the refs came into play, the judging came into play. Let's dive into it, man. Round 1, obviously the cloud looming over it was at one point. Bueno Silva grabbed the fence, and it was so blatant, and she literally used it to prevent a takedown.
Right.
That without a warning, referee. Who was the referee of this fight?
Jaron Villel.
Okay, new guy. He took a point away. I think it's totally in bounds, and
I agreed. I actually agreed with it. I thought I was like, damn, if everyone would do that, people wouldn't grab the cage.
Yeah. No, it was like I said, it's kind of when it happened as opposed to what happened. You could say, people grab the cage all the time.
Well, and what it prevented.
100%. Yeah, no, I was on board with it. For sure, I was on board with it. So you're operating with a point deduction. And it was kind of fairly early in the round. There was still plenty of fighting to be done after that point. Oh, yeah. How did you see the rest of that round?
So I actually thought Bueno Silva did more damage in the first round, and I scored it for her, but then took the point away. So I had it 9-9 in the first.
Me too, verbatim, dog. We saw it the exact same way.
Perfect.
But it was pretty goddamn close, and Montana
super close. I was kind of questioning myself a little bit on my scoring.
Montana De La Rosa's stand up at boxing range was phenomenal, but just once Mayra Bueno Silva got her in the clinch, she was dangerous in that clinch, nasty with it. And we all know that that's probably a little more dangerous than just, pumping the jab. So, yeah, I definitely lean Bueno Silva. But with the point deduction, 9-9 draw in the first round, which obviously makes things very interesting moving forward, especially if you're keeping track of that real time as it's happening. So, man, toss it to you for round 2, man, because they said at this point we're at an interesting little moment in the fight.
So I thought that Bueno Silva for probably the first 4 minutes. So for most of the round was like winning the striking exchanges, but then De La Rosa got this takedown near the end of the round and did a little bit of damage down on the bottom, and honestly, like, I thought stole the round with it.
I am in lockstep with you, bro. Yeah, 100%,
Nice.
man, because, I'm end of the round McGee, and, like, how it leaves a lasting impression. I know they always say on the bracket, that leaves a lasting impression, and to me, it's not necessarily about the last 10 seconds as opposed to, like, the last minute. But, like, I don't know. I thought De La Rosa at the right time did the right thing and stole the round. Like you said, yeah, Bueno Silva probably spent more clock time of that round winning the round. And the argument could be made for that. But the end of the round, like I said, I've said this time and time again on the podcast, it's a kind of unofficially or officially, different people look at it different ways. The end of the rounds are kind of like a weighted grade. And cool, in school, you all have a weighted grade. Certain assignments are worth more. And like the last minute of a round, it can be worth more than the first minute of a round. And, it just kind of, it is what it is sometimes.
It's kind of like how they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Like, and that's an adage in fighting a lot of the time.
But, man, over the course of round 2, Silva landed both a head kick and knees to the face. So it's like,
right.
The argument was there for Silva in round 2. I'm not mad at anybody who scored it for Silva in round 2. We kind of edged it out for De La Rosa.
Right. And so I had it 19-18. Is that right? Yeah, De La Rosa going into the final round. So Bueno Silva's down 1 because of the point deduction.
Because it would have been tied, exactly.
Now, in the third round, Bueno Silva got back into the clinch striking and got Montana De La Rosa busted open. She was bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, man. Knees and elbows. So I scored a 10-9 Bueno Silva, knees and elbows for days, causing a lot of damage. Probably the most damage inflicted in the whole fight took place in the third round with those knees and elbows, which I think kind of just is a nice way to stamp an end of a fight, in my opinion, if I'm trying to score it. So it's like you scored 10-9 Bueno Silva?
Yeah, I did. So we ended up having it as a draw, which 2 of the judges have it as a draw. So 28-28 for 2 of them. One judge scored the final round to 10-8 for Bueno Silva. So he had her winning the fight 28-27. So majority draw instead of a straight draw.
That is interesting because that's not bad. That's not out of line. That 10-8.
I didn't think it was out of line at all. I actually wrote in my notes that, like, I could see 10-8, but I'm gonna lean 20 or 10-9. That's what I wrote.
On the same card, we saw like softer 10-8s.
Right.
So the precedent had been set. Like that 10-8 had way more damage in it than other 10-8s we had seen just last night. So it's like that. That's not out of bounds at all.
And I also think about looking at it like this. Like, if you ask me who won the fight, I think Bueno Silva won the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if we just were like, if we step back and we were like, fuck scoring it, like, who was the winner? I would probably say her.
But especially in that style of fight, because I don't think a single, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think a single submission was attempted the whole fight. It was a striking fight. Now, it was a clinch striking fight, stand at different ranges, but it was a striking fight. And who landed the more effective strike? Who caused more damage? I think the answer to both of those questions is Bueno Silva. Although De La Rosa, had her moments, and the point deduction always murkies the water like every single time, guaranteed. So interesting though. Interesting. So we scored it as a draw, but without the point deduction, it would have been for Bueno Silva. But like I said, that 10-8 is like making sense to me when I look at it and hear it.
Right.
So I'm not mad at it. I'm not.
I could have almost seen a majority decision as well. If one other judge had leaned to the 10-8, she would have won the fight. So I mean, it was that close.
It was that close. Like my brain is at a majority draw right now.
Good.
So yeah,
it's a good way to say it.
Yeah, man. So we'll get. But so I gotta ask you, Mr. Batman McGee. At that point, what happens? You just get back the money that you bet, right? Nobody wins. You don't lose any money. You don't win any money. What happens, like Vegas wise?
No, you still lose because you can bet fights end in draw. Like if that's one of the available bets that a fight ends in a draw, then you lose if you don't bet draw.
Oh, so that's one of those things how Vegas always wins, like 100% Vegas
It's
always
almost
wins.
like the zeros on the roulette wheel, like the green zeros. Because otherwise
Okay.
it'd be perfect 50-50 on a roulette wheel, and like it would just
Oh,
be a literal 50-50, right? Because there's even odds of black or red numbers, whatever, right? But then they put two green, 0 and double zero on there, and those literally just barely edge the game in the casino's favor. But still, roulette is like the most close to 50-50 game you can play in a casino.
nice, man. Well, hey, man, I'm gonna go. I'm feeling brewed for the fighting spirit. I'm gonna go grab me another Modelo real quick before we get to this
so,
this co-main event, man, and I'll be right back, man.
sounds good, Stipe. Uh, so in the co-main, 205 light heavyweight, we got our boy Mark Smith, who I mean, if you haven't heard us rant about Mark Smith or listen to him on the Joe Rogan podcast, great episode. Not even about really mixed martial arts, really just about Mark Smith. But anyway, he's the ref 205 for Magomed Ankalaev versus Nikita Krylov. Ankalaev is ranked 11 and was the minus 400 favorite, and Krylov is ranked 8 and is the plus 310 underdog. Now, the first thing I wrote on this before the fight even started is these odds are wildly off. Ankalaev should be about minus 240, not minus 400.
Yeah, man, the Ankalaev hype train was like, I thought, kind
I
of
don't understand it. I don't understand it.
prematurely in full gear. Like there was a lot of nut riding going on. But when Vegas sets the odds this high, right? Obviously, you can't really say it's nut riding because it's like they're not using emotion, right? Like it's a business to them. Like I don't know, it's tricky, right? I don't know, like. Do you think Krylov just had a good night, or I don't know? They ended up kind of being right. I mean, spoiler alert, but you're right. It was a close fight,
I think it's one of
and
those things where they expected Ankalaev's style to dominate because of just like
fair,
the matchup thing. Like I think they
fair.
put that into effect. But honestly, Krylov fought like the best fight he could.
Yeah, he looked really good, man. He looked really good. You already said the rankings.
Yeah, I got the rankings and odds out there in the weight. So
Yeah,
we can dive into
awesome,
the
man.
first round.
Yeah, yeah.
Really back and forth first round. I was actually going to ask you how you scored it. I scored it 10-9 to Krylov after it was all said and done, but I was really back and forth on it at first.
Yeah, man. They were both trading. They were both landing, but Krylov got that takedown in there, and I thought Krylov landed maybe a little bit harder, a little bit cleaner. So yeah, I'm right there with you on round one.
Nice. Okay. And it seemed like Twitter actually agreed with us on that one, which is weird. After I scored it, sometimes when I'm so 50-50 on a round like that, I like to see when Twitter agrees with me, right? Because that's like the confirmation bias. But then it's like we talk about like sometimes I see them score rounds and I'm like, and I know what that round should be scored. I can't say I know, definitively, but like intuitively I do know, right? Just like you do. So it's like when they come out with like some crazy hot take about a guy winning a round when he clearly didn't, it's like, oh, well, I don't even value what they say on Twitter.
Exactly, man. And it's like it's good though, because like it's good to not let like outside shit like influence you. You know what I mean? Like, how did you interpret that shit? You got to keep that authenticity, man. Like I said, yeah, I'm right there with you. Round one, 10-9, Krylov, and then round two, man, Ankalaev started to. Because it was weird. Like I said, the reason I gave round one to Krylov was I'm gonna pronounce it different every time I say it. Because
Krylov, Krylov, Krolov.
That way I'll be right one of the times. But anyway, the story of round one was I thought he landed harder, landed cleaner. Well, the
Yep.
exact opposite I thought was true for Ankalaev in round two. I thought Ankalaev landed harder, landed cleaner. And that kind of for the rest of the fight would be the story. I thought from round two on, Ankalaev was like, oh, okay, we're throwing power shots. Let's throw power shots.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Like, oh, you want to like get like in like upper body big man clinch and then like throw big shots and like just pretty much be like bullies. Like that's Ankalaev's kind of fight. Like I think that's exactly what he wants. So for
Yeah.
Krylov, like as soon as he lost his like little bit of speed advantage that he holds like when they're both fresh, that was pretty much the story of it because Ankalaev was able to kind of grapple and de-juice him a little bit. I felt like kind of slow him down, take that little edge off.
Man, in my notes at this point of the fight, like end of round 2, I wrote Bisping long-winded. Like
Oh, dude.
And I know some people watching out there is probably like, oh, that's the pot calling the kettle black. I know I can be long-winded myself, but it's like during a live sporting event is different than being in a podcast. Like during a live sporting event, like, dude, dog, I'm talking like he would like go on these like tangents, metaphors, rants, whatever you want to call it, and it would be like 2 minutes of like fight clock time to where like, and it's like I love Felder's like in-fight analysis, and Anik always has like dope shit to add. And it's like Anik probably had like 90 seconds of airtime last night because he would just like squeeze it in whenever he could. Like just Bisping would talk for like literally like if Bisping talking was having somebody's back, that round's a 10-8. Like Bisping,
you know what's very clear?
Control time.
You know what's very clear, and now that I think about it, Bisping always does solo commentary with Brendan Fitzgerald.
Me too. That was
he never has the tertiary partner.
That was glaringly obvious. I was like, Bisping, dog. I'm the guy that usually stands up for Bisping on this podcast. Like, is that not true? Like, I almost always, like, I'm the guy.
Bisping's back.
And this time it's like I can't do it, Bisping, man. Like, I'm almost out. Like I might have to stop sticking my neck out for you because that was rough, man. Like you said, because Anik and Paulie Felder, man, like I love hearing those guys, what those guys have to say. And like, as much as I am usually the Bisping guy, do I like Anik more than Bisping? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I like Felder more than Bisping? We gave Felder analyst commentator of the year. So I mean, it's just like, but we heard like 15% of them and like 85% Bisping. So I know I've kind of beat that dead horse, but I was kind of over it at that point. In round 3, Ankalaev, man, grappling, ground and pound, kind of that classic smash style.
That Dagestani smashing.
That smash style, you know, patented, you know, and he busted it out. Old reliable, old faithful, just pulled it out. Because the rest of the fight kind of didn't. The rest of the fight, like you said, to more on the feet, on the clinch. And then he's like, all right, let me go ahead and win this fight real quick.
I think that's what the Vegas odds are mostly based off of, too, was the fact that they knew, like, in his tool book or his toolbox, whatever you want to call it. Toolbox. In his toolbox, he has the ability to just kind of Khabib his way into a round and just, like, get up against the cage, land some shots, do enough damage and controls, even from standing, that he'll win. But also, if he gets a takedown, he does mean ground and pound and will easily win the round that way. Like, he is your typical Dagestani fighter. But at 205, it's impressive to see.
It is, man. It is. And Krylov did, I mean, especially when you see the odds, I mean, he did all right. You know, he fought good. All 3 judges saw it the exact same way we did, 29-28 unanimous decision times 3 for Magomed Ankalaev. He's 11. He just beat 8. You know, I assume he probably moves up to 8. And
I would think 8 or 9, right in that range.
Did he call anybody out, or do you have anybody you'd like to see him fight? I didn't really get too into it on this.
He was not good at because the translator was kind of cutting short the questions Felder was asking, and then Ankalaev wasn't giving like big answers. Like it was one of those like just happy that I won this fight, like ready to get back home and like get ready for whatever's next. Like
I feel you.
All right, generic speech.
Do you have any maybe outside of like maybe 6 through 8 guy, 6 through 10 guy, kind of top 10 light heavyweight you'd like to see him fight next, or do you want to slow build him?
No, I think Ankalaev, like you gotta slow roll him, because like if you give him someone that's like an all-star striker, I think he might get lit up.
Yeah,
lit up. So
or he could hang on him, you know, because like I said, he always has that.
Yeah. I mean, what about like I'm trying to think of. I always get 185ers and 205ers mixed up.
I'm blanking on 205ers, so I'm not trying to throw you on the bus. I don't really. I'm trying to. I'm
no, I
blanking
mean
myself.
like Anthony Smith is right up there, and I mean obviously guys like Glover
I think Anthony Smith did say himself in the post-fight show. I think Anthony Smith said he wanted to fight him. I think Anthony Smith called him out.
Well, Smith has a win over Krylov as well, so they have a common win.
Yeah, and I think Smith is 6 right now. And I said 6.
That sounds right.
8.
I didn't know if he was 6 or 7. But
oh
I knew
man,
he was right
I'm so glad you said that because I forgot. Yeah, I watched the post fight. Smith won. So man, maybe that's the fight. I'm down for that. That's.
I don't hate that fight at all.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good fight.
Now, as far as this fight goes, do you consider the Ankalaev Krylov part of the snooze fest?
Hell yeah, I do. Like as much as it was the way we break down fights is so kind whenever it's a snooze fest because we talk about they were throwing hard shots, like some good takedowns. Like we don't talk about it was a lot of feints and inactivity and them trying to feel each other out and a lot of grappling that didn't have much striking going. Like because we're not trying to be disrespectful, but it was a pretty low activity fight.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, and the position of where they were at. And it these two guys as the co-main event on this card, whenever the fight of the night was like the second fight of the night, and then the fight before this was a draw, so we're already kind of bordering on.
And the fight of the night had higher ranked guys.
Yeah, true. So having this fight in this position, I thought Dana kind of put himself out there, or whoever was in charge of Big Man, or whoever organized the order of the card.
They love their Dagestanis, though. They're trying to build that army.
I feel it, man. I feel it. I'm just saying, like I said, if this fight would have been on the prelim, you're not going to hear me say snooze. If this fight's the first fight on the main card, you're not going to hear me say snooze. This fight as the co-main, you got me fucked up. I'm hitting that snooze button, baby. I need 10 more minutes. I'm not ready to go to work. That's a snooze button right there. That's a snooze button.
Yeah, but, it was hard. It was hard. It put me in a mood where I was like, man, hopefully these heavyweights bang. And they didn't. They did not.
They didn't, man. You know what? I couldn't help but think the whole time I was watching this fight, and tell me if this thought crossed your mind at all. I think both of these guys had last week's fight in their mind too much. And here's what I mean by that. I think that Rozenstruik was like, I'm Derek Lewis. He shoots in, I'm going to throw an uppercut, and it's going to be me everybody's talking about. It's so good. And then I also think Gane was like, shit, you ain't about to catch me looking like Eric Blaine. And I don't know. I couldn't help but thinking that the whole time I was watching this fight. I was just like, Rozenstruik thought he was Derek Lewis, and Gane didn't want to look like Blaze. I don't know. Did you get any of that vibe?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to start with, why is Rozenstruik's beard always so wet? I mean, it's like dripping with water when he comes out.
Yeah, man, that's a great question. Bro, it looks like a dog, kind of shaking out after he
he came up to get checked, his nails and shit, and there's just water dripping out. I'm like, bro, what is going on? He wasn't sweaty, his body wasn't that sweaty. I was like, did you wet your beard before you came out? What the hell is going on?
Nice little dunk, little beard dunk, little bobbing for apple session backstage.
But diving into the fight, I mean, just an absolute snoozer, man. Both guys wouldn't throw because, like you're saying, they both kind of thought, I don't want to get caught with that guy's power. I don't want to get hit. Yeah, man. Was waffling his beard.
Let's nicely done, sir. Let's introduce it a little better. So here's Jorino Rozenstruik. He was the 4th ranked heavyweight, but he was a plus 220 underdog fighting the young lion Cyril Gane, minus 270 favorite, who was the 7th ranked heavyweight. And Gane is coming out of the same gym Ngannou came up out of. And, rising prospect. I think he's only had 7 professional fights. He's undefeated. He's 7-0. He's known for his movement. He's known for his athleticism. Rozenstruik is known for his, one-punch knockout ability, and it's certified. He's knocked out a lot of the best heavyweights. So we kind of knew going into this that it was like power versus finesse, but in heavyweight that only exists to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying, or so you think. There's only so much finesse when you're as jacked as Cyril Gane. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I don't know. I thought so. It just neither guy wanted to get made look foolish, and neither guy ended up getting made look foolish. So it's like,
but neither guy's stock went up in this fight, and it sucks that for the number 7 and number 4 guys to have a fight and your stock doesn't rise. Like, that's tough, man.
I think Gane's stock rises, and here's why, bro. Because shit like this ages well.
True.
Shit like this
Very
ages
true.
well. In 8 months, most people are just gonna go to Tapology and saw that he beat the number 4 ranked heavyweight, and they're like, oh, that was a great win on his resume. And then years from now, we'll really back on Cyril Gane. They'll just have a green W by the Rozenstruik fight, and they're, oh yeah, he did beat Rozenstruik. Oh yeah, that was a launch point for his rise. So shit like this ages well. Right now we have a bad taste in our mouth because we watched a snoozer. But that shit like this does age well on paper.
Very true. Very true. So how'd you score the first?
I scored a 10-9 Gane.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Formality. We'll do the formality. Gane led the dance. He got a takedown. And then in round 2, Gane really started to establish the jab. And what I thought
he won round 2 just based on activity, because Rozenstruik threw like 17 punches the entirety of the first 2 rounds.
What I thought was interesting about Gane, and it's hard to even use the word interesting when describing this fight, but I'll throw him a bone. What I found interesting was he was good with the jab in both stances. And it stood out to me, especially after just watching Kamaru Usman use that same tactic to be so effective. Like, it was fresh in my brain. So that stood out to me, especially when you have a guy as big and strong as a Gane and as athletic as a Gane. Like, it didn't yield exciting results last night, but moving forward, him having that in his bag, that Usman switch jab, I'm not mad at that. It snapped Rozenstruik's head back a couple times. That was actually the most exciting moments of this fight. Was Gane throwing a stiff, snappy jab and snapping Rozenstruik's head back a couple times in both stances.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had Gane, whatever it is. Cyril.
You got to say both, bro. That way you cover both. You got to take my strategy, man.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We're just ride that fence. So he won the second round for me, 2018. I thought he won the third round as well. So I had him up 30-27 after 3. The third round was more of the same in the second. He had a hard shot to end the third round, but that was about it.
I gotta say, I wrote in my notes, and maybe this was just like pointless. Maybe I was just like grasping at straws here, but I thought it was Rozenstruik's best round in 3 for what it's worth, and it ain't worth much. But is that even worth noting, or like, did you agree? Disagree? Am I manufacturing content here?
Probably his best round, but like the problem is like, if he landed a shot and like that was like his shot and like Gane just ate it, well then that's the story of the fight.
Is that an underrated talking point from last night? Once again, kind of grasping at straws a little bit, but is that an underrated talking point? Gane's chin. I mean, he ate a couple shots. Like, I'm not saying Rozenstruik landed a perfect shot, but the whole deal with Rozenstruik is that he's so strong that he doesn't need the perfect shot to sleep somebody. So is it worth mentioning that Gane ate some shots that would sleep a lesser man, perhaps? Or I don't know.
Maybe. I think he has good head movement, so he wasn't eating any of those shots like fully clean, except for that one at the end of the third where he was kind of in the pocket and like chin tucked down, but he was still like chin tucked, so it was like
chin tucked, good fundamentals.
Yeah, he has good fundamental striking defense, which is super important to heavyweight, and he has really great movement for a heavyweight. He
does. It'd be interesting to see him against like a top flight grappler. Like, and it's funny, Blades coming off a loss doesn't look like the worst matchup, because I feel like, so he was the best wrestler in the matchup with Rozenstruik, but that's not saying much. And it's like, his wrestling to me did a couple earlier in the fight or earlier in the podcast. we mentioned high takedowns. I feel like Gane had a couple of those little kind of high, lazy shots that, like, against like a top flight guy could get him in some trouble.
Oh, he can't do that against Ngannou or those guys. Cannot do that.
Yeah, or a Jones. I mean, God forbid. I mean, yeah, Jones would put him in the clinch and real quick. And I don't know, but I didn't like that. You know, it wasn't all roses and lollipops for Gane last night.
So I think rather than even going into like the rest of 4 and 5, because it's pretty obvious, right?
Well, I do want to. Well, you know what? I'll read my notes. Round 4, 10-9 Gane snooze fest. Round 5, 10-9 Gane takedown, snooze. Like,
yeah, right. Like, I didn't even want to waste the time on 4 and 5 because it was like you were waiting for Rozenstruik to do anything, and he just wasn't going to do it. And I think I realized by like midway through round 4, I was like, oh, well, this is over. This is over.
Well, and that's when I just couldn't help but think of last week. I was like, both guys have that fresh in their memory. And like I said, Rozenstruik thinks that, like, oh, he's going to rush it at any minute, and then I'm going to Derek Lewis him, which he's done to many a person. And it's like, it's not like it's like not understandable why he might feel that way. You know what I'm saying? And then Ghana is just quite, well, I'm not going to do what Blades did. Like, I'm not going to run into an uppercut. Like, all I have to do to win the fight is this.
Yeah, right. And, fundamentally fight, yeah.
And it wasn't it's like I see where both guys are coming from. As much as I didn't enjoy watching it, and I mean, it was free. I didn't pay for it. I can see where both guys are coming from. So there's like a ceiling on how frustrated I could be because strategy-wise, it kind of makes sense. But I'll say it stopped making sense for Rozenstruik in the 4th round because everybody and their dog knew he was down by 3 rounds. So
his coaches were pissed. Like, they were telling him, like, you got to do something.
Yes. Like, at that point, praying for an uppercut or waiting for a counter, that's out the door. You
got to start leading the dance, yeah.
Because it's not like Gane really had him hurt or wobbled with any of those jabs. So it's like Gane didn't prove the ability to like rock you yet. And I guess the argument could be made that, like, well, any heavyweight can rock any heavyweight. But so it kind of goes without saying you didn't need proof. But, you know, it's like I'm saying 3 rounds had gone by and Gane hadn't really gotten like nasty with it yet. You know what I mean? And Rozenstruik, it can get nasty, you know, what the best of them are at least up to this point, you know. And I would everybody that's ever, like, everybody that watched last night, anybody that's making a podcast about last night wanted Rozenstruik at some point, even if it was halfway through the 5th, to just press that gas pedal, hit the knife,
and do anything.
Yes, man. It just never fucking came. Waiting for that shit that didn't come.
Right. So, I mean, long story short, or long, whatever you think that
fight
was.
Short story long, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Exactly right. Gane wins the fight. It was 50-45 on all 3 cards, correct?
Yeah, 50-40 top 5 times 3, which that in and of itself signals snooze mania, right? Like, I think every
typically either dominant, like, virtuoso performance or snooze
like
fest.
Holloway Cater or snooze fest. Yeah,
right.
That's 100%. But yeah, man, Gane, like, you can't give us a 10-8 round, bro. Like, at no point did he beat him up. Like, but
if you're ahead by 4 rounds or 3 rounds in a 5-round fight, like, why would you? You know?
I know, man. So now we get to post-fight and, like, repercussions and what's next, right? Post-fight, I kind of somewhat got to give Gane credit where he was like, I'm sorry I didn't put on a show for the fans.
But he kept in the same light, like, he was like, you know, got to do what I got to do. Like, I understand people are upset, but, like, I did get a win.
Yeah, but he acknowledged it. Because, like, some people are just, like, delusional and be like, oh, what do you mean? That was a great fight. Like,
I won the fight. What do you want?
Beat the number 4 guy in the world. Like, fucking, you know what I mean? So he acknowledged that, you know, probably was a little bit of a snooze fest, which I thought was somewhat real, you know. I also, you know, he didn't necessarily call anyone out per se, but he did say if somebody's injured for the title fight, he'll step in.
It's ambitious.
Uncle Chael, loves when guys do that. I'm sure he'll make a video saying, "Oh, Gane made the right move." It's ambitious, but it's wise. May I say? Like I don't know. It's like you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too, right? I mean,
Right, yeah, because even if it doesn't materialize, like you've put yourself in that
you
position
put
where you're like
yourself out
calling for a top tier opponent, or like you're saying, I can be in that realm.
And there's an asterisk because in any other weight class, when somebody says they'll be an alternate for a fight, that means they have to make weight.
Yeah, for
Ghani,
he walks around it at weight.
That's almost right. Like that's almost like I don't want to say caveat, but like he has that in his back pocket, if you will. It kind of differentiates itself from different weight classes. So I don't know. Very interesting. Very interesting. Like I said, I don't necessarily want to see him fight either Ngannou or Stipe yet. Let me say,
not yet.
Big capital yet, because one day it may be definitely the fight I want to see. Now I have two questions for you, and I'll give you my answer after you give me yours. Do you think Gane will ever be a champion in the UFC?
Yes, because he's young and he's like, I think he was the guy that had the quote where he was like, it might not be my time for the next 3 years or 5 years, but like he was like in 8 years, like I'm going to be the champion. So like, if he's down to
like that.
I don't like it either, but if he's down to like run it that long, if he's down to run it that long at heavyweight,
bro,
like that's how it works.
Heavyweight in the UFC, that's like a running back coming in the NFL and be like, I may not win Rookie of the Year. But
I don't know. The heavyweights last the longest.
They do, but that could also go south at any minute.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I just like that's the NFL player. Like 8 years from now, you got yourself a Pro Bowl. Every GM would be like, not drafting. Like hell no. But I don't know. Maybe that's my football mentality. You're right. Heavyweights do last a while. It's not the worst. I don't know. I don't like hearing that. I want to hear a guy say that. Like, especially if you're calling for title alternate right now. Like, you better like change your arc, homie. Like your mental arc. Like you better get ready because I don't know. You're 7. You just beat 4, and you just called yourself to be a title alternate. So.
Yeah, like what do you want? Like, yeah, what do you really want?
I don't know about this 8 years. You kind of can't have both ways. You know what I'm saying? So you said yes. My answer is no, and I'll wait to say why until after this next question. My next question for you: do you see killer instinct in Cyril Gane?
No, not really. But he does have a lot of KO wins. Like I think he hits really hard. I think Rozenstruik just has a good chin and wouldn't do a goddamn thing last night.
Okay, so you said no, and I say no as well. And my reason, I don't think you become heavyweight champ by not being a fucking scary killer. And now Stipe,
he's a pretty scary dude in there.
I know he has that nice persona, but in the octagon, he's super scary.
Yeah,
Francis. I mean, need I say more?
God.
I mean, Derek Lewis. Like, you're putting your fucking shit on the line when you go in there to fight him. Like, he has bad intentions. He blamed, like, the whole blaming Herb Dean and the finish he just did on Blaze. Like that's a guy with bad intentions. John Jones. You think John Jones is going to, like, not try to, like, go for it?
That's all killer instinct. That's all killer instinct.
Whenever I'm looking at top heavyweights, or even like back in the day, I know I'd probably make way too many Lesnar like mentions for anybody's liking, but like I remember being a young guy and he was like the scariest guy in the world whenever I was at that young age, that ripe young age. And at one point, and I was just like, people were scared to fight Brock Lesnar. Like, that guy will fuck your shit up. And I just don't know. Gane has that, like, heavyweight's different than other weight classes, right? In different ways, we've established that. But it's like Gane, like you're not a lightweight, like you're not a welterweight, like you don't need to like try to outlast everybody. Like, and I know he has knockout wins, and I don't want to have too much recency bias, like, because I just watched the snooze fest. But it's just like, man, I didn't see enough like I'm trying to fuck you up. Like, I just didn't see enough dog. Like, in football, we call it dog. Like, guys have, like, we've all know there's guys that are plus athletes that have no dog in them. Like, they're good at track, they're good at basketball, but they don't want that smoke with the pads and shoulder pads and helmet. Like, we experienced that in the football field. And like, Is he a looks like Tarzan, fights like Jane kind of guy? I know that's a huge exaggeration. He's a top 5 heavyweight in the world, but I don't know if I see that mean streak, that nasty, that I'm trying to like inflict pain and hurt you and like take what's yours. Like, I don't get that, and I just don't know if you can get gold without that.
Yeah, I can see that. But, I mean, we'll see. Like, he has such a good skill set that, like, if at any point he does develop just the full-on want or realization that he is able to achieve it, like right now, then maybe he changes. I mean, we'll see.
Do you know how old he is?
I think he's 27.
So he's essentially my age. It's like, if his game plan is to really just outlast everybody, because, I mean, Lewis is older. Lewis is like 34. John Jones is, 34? Ngannou's 33, maybe 32.
Yeah, something like that.
Stipe is mid-30s. If his game plan is to just literally be the last man standing, like, it like on paper makes sense. I just don't know if that's how you win a heavyweight championship. I just don't know if, like, playing the long game and being a heavyweight, like a top 10 heavyweight, trying to play the long game. I don't think that's the path to success. Doesn't that sentence just sound like bulky, like clunky, like really?
It doesn't, man. Because heavyweight's one of those things where, like, you don't have a bunch of rising stars. All the dudes keep their power, and it's not about your athleticism. It's the one division where it's actually possible. So for him to say that, it's the one division where I actually hold credence to it. Like, for as much as you're saying that's crazy and it sucks and it's awful, like, it is the one division where it actually makes sense to say that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's awful. I do. Like I said, my brain likes it. My brain likes it. Like, if I was like a GM, baseball analytics GM, I would love that strategy. But just something about, like, the fighting part of it, the kind of guttural, like UFC, like MMA, like, walks that boundary between science and brutality, and it's like, is it too much of a heady approach? I guess I would like to see a little bit more of a mean streak, a little bit more of the ambitious, a little bit more of the hunger. We talking about hunger in fighters all the time, especially young up-and-coming fighters, which is the category that Gane finds himself in. And it's like, how do you describe young, hungry contenders? Oh, I literally can't even describe it without using the word hungry. You use the word fucking hungry. Everybody that's ever described a heavyweight contender has used the word hungry, and I don't see the hunger.
Well, here's what I would say is I don't want to see him fight Blades next because it's going to be the same thing as Rozenstruik in a different way, where we don't get to see, like, any action or any, like, there wouldn't be killer instinct in the Blades fight because, like, it's going to be just a bunch of wrestling. It's probably not going to be like a Derek Lewis KO. So what I want to see is him fight a high-volume striker that's not afraid to throw, like Alexander Volkov. They're both coming off wins. I think that's a good matchup. And I think Rozenstruik versus Blades is a good matchup.
Man, okay. I'm not both coming off losses, both coming off wins. I see what you did there. The post-fight show was calling for Volkov because Smith was saying in the post-fight show that Gane just 100% will not be able to do what he did last night against Volkov. Like 100%, that's out the window.
Bingo. I mean, nail on the head. That's exactly that's crazy, Anthony Smith. I mean, he knows this shit, so I'm glad to hear him say that. But, yeah, that's exactly how I see it, is that Volkov is a guy that's been in that war with Derek Lewis and that was throwing shots at Derek Lewis and winning that fight for the whole time because he's not afraid to throw. He's not afraid to exchange. And so that would actually and he's a good striker. So that would make Gane actually put his skill set on display, and he's either going to get his ass beat or he's going to land some shots. And then what you're talking about is then we'll actually see if he has killer instinct. Because if he gets Volkov wobbled, then it's a different story.
Well, and it's like yeah, you go ahead and stay at kickboxing range with Volkov and tell me how your night goes. You know what I'm saying?
But if he wins it that way, like, then what are we going to say, you know? That's a good fight for him.
It's a good fight. I like how you worded that. And then also, it's like, in my opinion, Volkov's faced way better wrestlers than Gane. So it's like, it's not like Gane really can't have a strategy like, oh, I'm going to go in there and take him down. Like,
Dude,
I can't.
And Volkov looked so good his last time out that, like, I think it's going to be – here's where I really see the problems. I think Volkov's not going to want to take the fight because he's going to be like, he's ranked behind me. Why would I do that?
That's weak. Because
I know,
why?
so weak. Because Volkov's going to be 4 and he's going to be 5.
You're not in that position, Volkov. You're not the number one contender. So if you're not the number one contender, and that's probably going to be a fight night main event. They've both main event fight nights already before. Gane has twice now, and Volkov, I think, has twice too, right, on fight nights. Mm-hmm. So that's a no-brainer. They headline a fight night. That's why Volkov, like, you want to say, like, why not? Because that's why not. Because.
And meanwhile, John Jones, Derek Lewis, Stipe, and Ngannou can figure out the top 4.
Yeah. I think I see. That's what I think everybody's so frustrated and having blue balls about from last night is that
we just want the big ones.
No. I don't know, man. I won't say all, man. I'm speaking for too many people. Myself, I thought last night, best case scenario, we have whoever it is, most likely Gane, but it could have been Rozenstruik, insert themselves right up there in the Derek Lewises of the world. I thought, but what happened was,
they cemented themselves below that top tier.
Which, who wants that? Like, that's
not what you want.
On the last fight of the night, like, that's the flavor. Like, that's what I had to go to bed thinking about. Like, that's the flavor that left in my mouth. Like, that's what made it just add to, like, the snooze fest vibes. It's just, like, we didn't even get the, like, on paper kind of, like, hot take material we, like, wanted. Like, you know what I mean? It just, there was it wasn't salvageable. Because sometimes it's like, that fight wasn't the best, but it paved the way for it in the division, and it answered some questions, and it cemented this kind of fork in the road. But, like, both guys, like, took the same side of the fork, and it's not the side of the fork that you want to take. Like, they both took a left. Like, which is just not fun to talk about. It's not fun to talk about. It's not fun to watch. It just because, like I said, I mean, the thing that Cyril Gane has us on his side that Rozenstruik doesn't have on his side is time, which you alluded to. Rozenstruik kind of needed to get while the getting is good, and now Rozenstruik just finds himself kind of in that Volkov-ish position, right? Where, like, definitely top 10, maybe borderline top 5. Like, are you going to gatekeep a couple fights again? Like, I mean, some could say this was a gatekeeping fight, but
kind of,
but even like a
not really,
level,
but kind of.
Yeah, right. I mean, but so does Rozenstruik just kind of slide back into the? He just and I spent all this time talking about Gane's killer instinct and want to and all that. Didn't see much of that from Rozenstruik either. So it's like, where's he even at? You know what I mean? He didn't seem like a guy that's just like. Certain guys are like, I can't die without touching gold. And then certain guys are like, oh, if it happens, it happens, you know.
Right.
Like,
Just want to walk the path. I get it. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Next week, we got a banger of an episode for sure. 38's going to be great. UFC 259. Izzy fighting for that second belt against Jan Blachowicz. I can't wait for that, man. It's going to be great. That's going to put this snoozer out of my mind.
Official. Oh, do you want to make our official title picks just to, like, spice things up on this fucking gray, dreary day? You got Izzy?
Yeah, I think he finishes him too.
I'm not betting against him. I'm not betting against Izzy. I feel you. Foot to the fire. I'll take Izzy. All right, and then next we got Nunez, Megan Anderson. I mean, I kind of goes without saying, right?
I think I think you don't bet against Amanda Nunez. You just don't do it.
Go emoji instead of yes, no. I'm going to, like, draw a go emoji outside to the –
you tell me what that means.
Yeah, for sure. I feel you, brother. I think it's like, what, minus 1,100 or minus 1,100 or some shit already.
That's honestly not even that disrespectful, which is the craziest part.
Yeah. And then we have Jan Sterling, which –
love it.
Yeah. I think – I don't know. I can't say I'm more excited than Jan Stylebender. I'm not gonna go there, but I have been wanting this fight for a long time. I love bantamweights.
Hey, Team Backpack, baby. Team Backpack, baby.
Team Backpack. Yeah, the thing is, bro, I'm Team Backpack, but I'm like too much team backpack to where like it's hard for me to like I would never bet money on this fight.
Yeah, no, it's fully biased for me to pick Aljo because I love him and I hate Jan. I hate Jan.
Heart versus brain. Like I'm tired of Jan being champion. I would love Aljo. Then we get the Aljo Sandhagen rematch for the belt. It's just so much funner than Jan. Even Jan Sandhagen. Like how fun is that even gonna be?
Yeah.
I don't know. If Sterling has the belt, it's so much more fun. I like Aljamain Sterling as a person. He showed love to me on Instagram a couple of times. And so it's like I would never bet money on the fight. I learned that the hard way. Like you don't put money on fight that like your like fanhood's invested in. Like at least I can't. Some people can. I can't.
Yeah. It's like in my rules that I don't do that.
For sure. I'm right there with you. But yeah, definitely team backpack for sure. So yeah, we're in lockstep there. Even the prelims are stacked. We got Dominic Cruz fighting on a prelim. I mean, I know that kind of storyline's been hammered into the ground, but hey, I'm here for you. They call me prelims McGee, so you know
that'll be a good fight too. That's a full 50-50 fight if you ask me.
What about I think so Cruz is the underdog on that. Do you like the number on Cruz? You like the number on Cruz?
I don't, man. It's a fight. I know. It's a fight I stay away from entirely.
Okay.
Because it's just, I think it's fight of the night. I don't know who wins.
I was teetering, just like, man, getting the number on a guy like Cruz, fighting on a prelim. But you know also why? You're not even betting on Cruz the fighter. You're betting on Cruz's philosophy that ring rust is real.
Right. Which Cruz do I see tonight?
If Cruz comes out and gets torqued up, he literally cannot use ring rust as an excuse. Cruz has been on the campaign telling everybody that ring rust is a myth for I don't know how long.
Right. So I have the same expectation that he's always the same guy when he steps in the octagon, regardless of the time. Because that's his mentality. So let's see it.
No excuse at all. Man. Okay. Because that was the only – have you looked at the numbers on any of the other fights? No, I feel you. Because, see, the Cruz-Kenny fight, at least right now, is the only number that kind of looked appealing. Every other thing is like, we're going to bet on Nunez? Hell no. Izzy is like, I think, a plus 250, or I mean, minus 250, excuse me.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's not really a number to make money at. And then Jan, I mean, Sterling is I think a small underdog, but
but we're talking about, can't bet him.
Exactly. So I was going through this fight. I kind of want to put some money on it. And then the only number that really was jumping off the screen was Cruz as an underdog. But like you said, that's kind of and it was a very small underdog. It's kind of a pick 'em. Tough fight to bet. So, yeah, I don't know. Might have to leave the wallet out of next week's card then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, man. But, episode 37?
37, yeah.
Episode 37, Beefy Boys. Please, if you're watching, go subscribe on YouTube, Beefy Boys Breakdown. You can find us wherever you get your audio podcast, specifically Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the major platforms, Podbean. You can find us on, if you prefer audio podcast. And, follow us on Instagram. I'm Dreadful Tom Dom, Harrison_Madden, and at Beefy Breakdown on Twitter. Thanks, everybody. Next week, we'll far surpass this week. I cannot wait.
Absolutely. I'll see you next week, bro. Good.
Take it easy, man.